Hi everyone, I am delighted today to be joined by my friend and colleague and collaborator Gill Taylor, who is now, I don't know how we describe this yet.
Semi-retired works for me.
Semi-retired, but actually still working
Yeah,
loads.
yeah.
So Jill is now working with lots of coaching organisations, collaborating with lots of people, and is a safe space for leaders to sort of come to with their problems, and Jill helps them find solutions.
I kind of like that.
Okay.
I'll go with that. That works for me.
And she's also been a joy creator, I've heard her referred to, which is also a good thing.
I think that is just something to aspire to in life, isn't it? Being a joy creator. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, when you think about yourself as being a leader, and I've been lucky because I've had a leadership role for many years. I always think about, my job primarily is to and not to sound like kind of a little bit up myself, but it's to inspire people
Yeah.
and to listen to them and help support them, develop, grow, perform, um, inside work and outside work. And if you can bring joy to people when you're doing that, and have a bit of a laugh, isn't that a good thing to be? So I kind of took on the title. I mean, I hate titles, it's all very bogus, but I love the term joy creator because I think that's probably my goal in life. My goal in life was never to be a senior leader. My goal in life was never to work in corporate. My goal in life, and it still is, was just to kind of be happy and help other people. I think that's a good philosophy.
I think it's great. And everybody watching this podcast will be inspired today because we're going to be talking a lot about Jill's experience of learning and doing things that scare you. And I can't wait to get into some of that detail because Jill has got some amazing, inspirational stories, real life stories, which are quite mind blowing to share. So, looking forward to that. You're going to love it. And we've known each other for about 7 years now.
Yep.
And we worked together in quite a challenging environment where there was lots of change going on, lots of transformation going on. And that's where we clicked and found a bit of a common ground, I guess.
Yeah.
And then here we are now having this conversation.
7 years later.
7 years later.
Retired. Yeah, a bit of a change since back then, I suppose.
And your backstory, so it'd be great to tell, because you've worked for massive corporate global organizations, you've worked as a C-suite executive.
Yeah.
Just tell the Transformation Tribe a bit about your background, what you've done, so they've got the backdrop.
Okay, so 40 years in business, over 20 of them in a senior leadership role. I've worked domestically and internationally across, well, a variety of sectors, really. I started off in retail, did 20 years there, did a bit of a stint in logistics, I think, as most people out of retail tend to do. Found a bit of a passion for financial services. And I guess that's really where I started to work very closely between the strategy and R&D teams and the change execution teams. And that kind of gave me a taste for transformation. And when I say transformation, I'm talking about business transformation. Yeah. So I'm talking about the search for clarity for a new or a redefined business model. And I'm working with the change guys about the search for certainty of execution, delivering those packets of change in service of ultimately trying to achieve the organizational ambitions. And spent a significant part of my career over 15 years in and out of different financial services businesses. Joined you in a not-for-profit,
yes,
which was a really interesting 18 months. I learned a lot from the culture, the environment, very different to where I previously operated. And then my last corporate role was again back in financial services, kind of leading on some transformational pieces for an organisation, so rebranding, relocating, replatforming. And then it got to 2020, and I think, like most people, when COVID happened. It certainly gave me the opportunity to reflect and kind of take a breath and pause, because I almost feel as though I hadn't stopped running up until that
Yeah.
point across the 40 years, and challenge myself around, is this it? Is this what it was all leading to? And thought to myself, there's got to be more to life and being happy than being in a corporate environment. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a corporate environment has given me a great life. It's given me a wonderful home. It's allowed me to travel around the world. I've met fantastic people and I've learned a ton of stuff. But I got to that moment where I thought, actually, I want to spend some more time on kind of reconnecting with my family and things that I enjoy, and creating joy and getting more joy for myself. And I'm lucky because I could afford to do that. I know many, many, many people on in that
Work for it though.
on in that situation. Yeah. So I thought, I think I'm going to be thinking about an exit plan. And coming through 21, it was tough times. It was all about, all businesses were in survival mode, I guess, going through what happened to us in lockdown. But I delivered on the key parts of the transformation and was halfway through kind of a final piece around replatforming, and just had a really direct conversation with my boss and said, listen, you don't need to pay someone like me to deliver what the organization now needs. We've built the capabilities. We're set up for the next stage of the journey, and let's think about me moving on. And it was great. We had a year together, a final year of all the handovers, so it was all very amicable, and I left on very, very good terms with the organization. And it was at that point. So this is where you kind of your plans hit reality. Yeah. This is where it kind of gets real. Oh, it sounds marvelous having all this time to myself, and I'm quite a planful person, as you know. So I had this kind of philosophy of, I'm going to achieve 3 things a day. Yeah. I set up a huge spreadsheet. Massive Excel, and this is what I'm going to do. And it kind of went out the window after about week 1. Obviously, you take some time out because it's such a different pace, adjusting from 14, 15-hour days, commuting, all of that, to homes under the hammer, cup of tea, and what is life all about. And I thought, you know what I want to do? I want to do something really random, and different, but it plays to my passion. And I'd become very, very interested in the history of a particular country because I was fascinated about how the language had come into existence back in the 1400s, and how it evolved. And it was King Sejong, who wanted to create a language, a written language that his entire population, like the common people, could connect with, because we're talking about Korea here, obviously. Korea. Because prior to that point, you see, I think I'm excited about this. But
I didn't want to mic drop in the middle of your flow, but it's Korea we're talking about, which again is
completely different.
Amazing,
And prior to the creation of this language, common folk, normal people, couldn't necessarily read and write because everything was using Chinese characters, hanja. So I was really inspired by that story and thought, this is where all great ideas don't necessarily kind of play out. But I thought, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to learn Korean. I'm going to learn everything that I can about the country, about the culture. I'm going to go there. Yes, that's my objective. And so you know where this is going. I signed up for an international language school. Never for 1 minute thinking I would be accepted.
Because have you got other languages?
No, I can barely speak
So
English.
it's not like you're a natural linguist.
No, and I'm totally not academic. I mean, I think you know this about me, and anybody who's ever worked with me will see this in me. I kind of don't learn theoretically. I don't learn in the classroom. I'm an individual who likes to try things out, experiment, and visual show me, and I can kind of get the flow. So, the idea of sitting in a classroom is completely alien and terrifying and not my happy place at all. And so the reality of crikey, you're now going to go on this program. And I remember going into the first lesson and
Was this in the UK?
this was in the UK because I was going to meet tutors, and it was all on Zoom at this point.
Yes.
And get introduced to my classmates. So I'm already terrified about the fact that this is a classroom setting.
Yes.
And I haven't been in the classroom. I mean, we're talking decades and decades. And got all the textbooks and all of the gubbins, and the new pencil case and the whole kit and caboodle. And I thought I was I was scared. And this is where this whole "do things scared"
I love that phrase.
has kind of resonated with me.
Phrase.
And I remember going into the classroom and meeting the guys for the first time. And by a long way, probably 35 years, I was the oldest in the classroom. So that is intimidating.
Yes.
All amazingly talented, 20-year-old, multilingual students, international students from different countries who were starting out on their career. And I just thought to myself, what have I done? This is a terrible mistake. And my mind was blank. I couldn't even remember my name and the process. Yeah. And it was quite terrifying, the first lesson. And I came out, and I remember my husband saying to me, "So what do you think? Was it exciting? This is something that you're really passionate about. You want to learn?" I said, "I don't think I can go back. I think that's it. I think this is it." And I got an email from one of the young students, and they were setting up a study group. And they said, "We'd love you to be in our study group."
Amazing.
Because you've got 40 years experience in business. Yeah. And we're all going into interviews, and we'd love you to kind of help us with that as well.
Brilliant.
So I thought, actually, I can bring value here in a place that I didn't think I could bring value.
Yeah.
And get a value exchange, get knowledge sharing, and get something back out of it. So I went to the study group, and then recognised myself in these young individuals who were starting out on their careers, and the worries and the challenges that they were thinking about, and felt actually I can bring something to this whilst learning about this great country and this great language. And so I stuck at it, and we went to South Korea, and we did a number of exams, which was terrifying in and of itself, but I got through the program, and that was a kind of an 18-month program. And they say to me they got something out of it. I helped them with interview skills and how to apply for roles and thinking about setting goals. And they taught me about music. And they got me really into K-pop, which was pretty cool for a 60-year-old. So I got something back out of it.
I find this story so inspiring because you talked about your C-suite career where you've done transformation, and you've coached people who've been fearful of change and scared of change, and you've helped them overcome it and come through positively the other side. And then here you are in this situation, and you're experiencing it for the first time yourself. But it's seeking those moments, isn't it, where thinking there is a value exchange. It's actually having that pause and thinking, yes, I'm doing this scared, but having that pause time to reflect and think, actually, I can bring some value to this. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. It's not always obvious. It's not always in your face. And you have to be patient sometimes and wait for it to emerge. And you think, oh, that's where I can add
Yeah.
value.
And I guess thinking, what's the worst thing that could
Yes.
happen? Yeah, I could be embarrassed, but you've got to get over yourself
Yes.
at times and manage an ego. I guess when you're in a corporate environment, there's an expectation when you have a title or a certain amount of experience that you are always the expert
Yeah.
in things. And I find that that's seldom the case.
Yeah.
And recognizing that and admitting that is, I think, a big step towards growing as an individual. So I think you had Rob Fawcett, who's from
Yes.
the Human CTO, and Rob and I
Yes.
worked together. And this was something we went out for lunch a couple of weeks back, and it was something that we were talking about, is that it's okay to say, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old,
Absolutely.
because that's about setting the standard for understanding.
Absolutely.
And life is so complicated and
Yeah.
complex, and there's no need to layer on more complexity.
No.
Let's strip it back. Let's keep it really simple. Let's get back to the basics and engage with each other in a way that we can both benefit and understand.
Yeah.
Recognizing that failure is part of learning.
Yes.
And okay, the worst thing that could have happened, I guess I could have dropped out, but that's not me.
No.
Because I'd set myself a goal. I knew it was going to be tough, but always coming back to that in terms of trying to achieve it. And you know what? That day, it wasn't great. I didn't feel great. There wasn't a lot of joy being created in my life that first lesson. But it's about going back in and saying, okay, I understood that. I recognize that in myself, but I'm going to go back and try and set a different standard. I wasn't going to come out of that first lesson being fluent and understanding every aspect of a different culture. Kind of think about what your level is and where you can add value and where you can get something back from it. So resetting your own expectations and managing the ego, I think, is important when you are trying out something new.
It is important because I have a sort of mantra that I tell myself, which is, you should do something every single day that scares you. You should feel that fear, because it's fear that drives you forward. If you run away from what scares you, you're running away from achieving anything or self fulfillment. And they say that fear is a response to stakes. So if the stakes are high, the more fearful you are. But if the stakes are high, chances are it's something you actually want to actually achieve, and you're interested in, you're curious about it, and you actually want to move towards it. But when the fear kicks in, if you retract, you just get further and further away from it. So yeah, I love that philosophy you're talking about, that phrase, doing it scared. I think it's just perfect.
And there's no end to it, is there? No. Because you conquer one mountain, and you think, great, well, there is another mountain kind of right behind it, or whatever analogy you want to use, because success isn't a destination. It is a journey, and it's about taking as much from that journey and as much learning as you can possibly get to help you achieve your ambition, and whatever that ambition might be in life. I mean, mine is just simply just to be happy and have an engaging and fulfilling and meaningful life in whatever way that works for other people. And so being able to recognize that, I think is it's one of the first actions in learning anything, isn't it? Really, it's never ending.
It's never ending.
Fail, first action in learning. That's kind of something that always kind of pops in my mind. And I've made tons of mistakes in my career, tons of mistakes. You wouldn't believe it, and made bad choices. Not deliberately, absolutely, absolutely not deliberately, but it massive lessons that when I went on through my career and went into new roles, and I could see things, similar situations, and what had worked before and what hadn't worked before, and adapting to that and using that experience to ensure you don't fall down the same kind of potholes again.
I talk about residual learning. So when I'm working with leaders who are in transition, whatever that transition may be, you've got this residual value and you reach points in your career where that residual value, you have to capitalize upon it, capture it, turn back and look behind you and think, wow, that's what I've learned, and then take it forward to the next step. And it tends to go in sort of like stages, and then you realize there's another stage, maybe after a big project or something, or a big challenge, or a big mistake that you've learned from. You think, wow, that residual learning now added to that clump, I can now do this. And you take it forward, I think, throughout your career and on to do other things, and in your personal life as well. So on the subject of lifelong learning, it's all about having the right mindset, because some people are really closed-minded, need some encouragement. You have always embraced lifelong learning, always challenge yourself. And you were telling me a story as we were setting up today about learning to swim, which I think is brilliant.
I think I've told you this before, but this whole doing things scared is a characteristic, I think, just of my life, I guess. I was 36 when I learned to swim, and most children they learn to swim in school, all of that stuff. I had a morbid fear of water, and actually I'm still very, very scared of water, and just never got round to the whole swimming thing, which is great when you're away with your pals on your holiday, because you're the individual who minds bags at water parks.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that kind of thing. And it got to the point of, yeah, this is ridiculous. You know, you're in your 30s and you've never learned to swim. And I thought, okay, well, there's only one way to solve this problem, is I'm going to force myself to swim. So I booked a holiday, completely random. It was in Australia, it was on the Barrier Reef, scuba diving. Now, bear in mind, I couldn't dive and I couldn't swim. Now, most people will say, well, you don't really need to swim to dive.
Doing it scared, definitely.
Get over your fear of water. So, signed up for swimming classes, and obviously, again, I'm the oldest in the swimming class, and there's young kids there learning to swim. And a great thing about learning with young kids, you've got to kind of manage your ego and park your embarrassment, is that they've got no filter, first of all, which is great, but they're not judgmental. So, the young children who were learning to swim, and it wasn't, oh, how old are you? And you're only learning to swim. No. There was none of that. It was all, oh, you can't swim. Are you scared? Yeah, I'm scared. And that was really liberating. And then obviously, being in a pool with a plastic float and doing the whole thing and kind of learning to swim. And then 6 months later, diving off the back of a boat with sharks.
I think that is just so inspiring.
I think that was crazy for sure, but that feels as though when you look back and you say, what was a key moment in your life where you're really proud about doing something, that I felt so proud.
I love it.
When I was a kid, I loved Jacques Cousteau. I really always wanted to kind of, go beneath the sea and all that adventure, and I'm so curious about that. And then just being able to do it, and I was thinking, oh yeah, you know what? Set yourself a goal. Find a way of ensuring you can deliver against it. Great ways are always writing it down. I mean, for me, it was booking a holiday, or booking myself onto a program, a Korean program, whatever it is, and face it.
And if you say you're going to do it, if you commit to something, if you write it down and actually say it out loud and do it, psychologically, it's proven you are more inclined to succeed. You are more likely to go ahead, rather than just thinking, "Oh, I wish I could do that. I think I'm gonna take up swimming lessons at some point."
It's exactly why we write goals down, right? In a working environment,
Yeah.
if you think about, you translate your ambition, your strategic imperatives into a set of goals. That's why we write them down. It's why we measure them. It's why we monitor them, because what gets measured gets done, and it's the same in life. And a tip, I think I've shared this with you before, that I picked up early on in my career is, annually, write yourself a letter annually that normally do it around Christmas Eve, of what you want to feel like and achieve by next Christmas.
It's the feelings for me. I think the feelings for a lot of people were, how do you want to feel standing in the result of your goal, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever
it might be
it
lose
is.
weight, it might be the next CEO, it might be whatever, but it's how do you feel? What are you experiencing, when you're standing in that result of that goal, which is so powerful.
Seal that envelope, pop a stamp on it, give it to somebody you trust and say, send that to me at the beginning of December. And when, you'll forget about it. When you get to to the next kind of Christmas time, you're sitting down, you open that and you think, that's what I said to myself.
And it's all about mindset. It helps with that mindset, those visual cues that you're talking about, those emotional cues that you get internally when you see that visual, those habitual patterns. It's all about getting in that right mindset. So
well, we talk about mindset, don't we? And we could sit here for hours debating what mindset is. But in the tradition of Gill Taylor, as you know, I like to do things as opposed to talk about them. So I'm going to hopefully try and illustrate what I mean by having an open mindset. And I don't think I've ever done this with you before. Haven't. Otherwise, it's going to be a complete failure.
This is new to me.
Okay, so here I have. So I'll move my little
let's move
cup of tea out the way. Here I have piece of wood.
Yeah.
With a 6-inch flat headed nail in it. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Without the aid of blue tack, sellotape, glue, anything sticky, or balancing using other implements.
Yeah.
How many nails, other 6-inch nails, flatheads, do you think you can balance on that nail head?
Well, I'd say on the face of it, it looks like just one.
It looks like just one.
Because my thought is to turn it over.
Okay, try.
And to do that with it. Which is meaning it's falling off. We've got a bit of a wobbly table.
You've got a bit of or you could do it like this.
Yeah, we could. Okay. Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1.
Yeah.
Could you do 2?
They've got to balance on the nail.
Yeah. Have a go.
No, that's not going to work. There's probably people watching this going, what's she doing? No. Okay. No.
All right. So, if I said to you, you can actually balance hundreds.
Okay.
Would you believe me?
Well, I do believe you, Jill, because I know. But no, I wouldn't.
Trustworthy individual, right?
Individual, and I know you make miracles happen, but looking at that, I'm thinking no.
Okay, so this is a wobbly table, people. Okay, so look, there's a process to it, isn't it? Of course, you know that we can do it. So if I just kind of show you a process here, build a rack, and then there you go.
That is impressive.
Well, not really. It's like a kind of a pub game, isn't it? But the point is...
Obviously not drinking in the right pubs, Jill.
Yeah. The point is that with the right process, within, 2 minutes, Sarah? If I now said to you, how many nails can you balance on a nail head? How many would you say?
Oh, endless amounts.
Well, you can, because you can build racks and racks.
How big are the nails? I could get right into it now, but I think that is fantastic, and it is about mindset.
It's about having an open mindset.
It is.
And you can always do more than a fist glance what you think you're capable of.
Yeah.
As Rand finds, I'm into explorers, as you can probably tell, and then very, very lucky to spend time with Sir finds. And one of the things that he says is, the horizon is only the limit of our sight. And I think that's so important when you think about learning. Simple process. Now, even in years when you forget what we've just done there, and someone says, how many nails? You will say, oh, I might not be able to remember it, but I know it's more than
Yeah,
one.
definitely.
So immediately that's kind of shifted
Yeah, it's a
your
great
view.
exercise. It's a great exercise. Really good.
And I think that's important to have that mindset when it comes to, we've talked about lifelong learning many times, about being open to new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of working, new ways of feeling healthy and happy, whatever it is. And, it's all from having conversations and being open to hearing other people's experience.
Yeah.
And what can you learn from that? So whether it's you're on social media, I mean, I'm on social media quite a lot, and I have a few followers who I learn tons from.
Yes.
And whether it's that, whether it's reading, whether it's trying new things, whether it's signing up for a program, whether it's having a mentor in work, so somebody who has more experience, who's able to guide you through certain situations, whether it's about having a coach, so process of facilitation who can help you think about options, whether it's having a combination of both, and working with people like the guys at Hedgehog. I'm an associate for a company called Hedgehog. We're all chief officers. We've all had a lot of experience in business, and we partner with senior leaders to help improve their performance, help them achieve growth. But it's much more than coaching, because it's not just about process of facilitation, because we can orientate based on our experience across advisory, consulting, and mentoring. And certainly when I was a leader, that's what I wanted. I wanted an individual who had that experience, who can, co-create and help me get to the right option that's right for me.
Absolutely. And I loved what you said, how you described yourself at the very start of today when we were first here. And you said, you're that safe space for people to bounce ideas off. So is that your offer now? Is that what's next on the horizon for you? Is that what you're doing?
I think I wouldn't be limited by anything. And I keep on saying I have retired.
But if
it's
people
like
watching this think, oh, she sounds Gill Taylor sounds really interesting. If they look up Hedgehog, is that how they got hold of you, or did they contact you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to connecting with new people on LinkedIn. I'm there. You can find me, Gill Taylor. You'll see me looking very corporate in a green jacket. Very nice. And you can contact me there, or through Hedgehog, which is, we're an affiliated community, as I say, of former chief officers. And we're a coaching business and a strategy business as well. So, check us out, look us up.
And links to Gill's biog and Hedgehog will be in the biog below, so you can easily find them, and people can contact you if they want to have a chat.
Cool.
I think that's been a really insightful, inspiring conversation.
Well, thanks for having me in your sauna cum studio.
Thank you.
Is it yoga workout next? Is that what we're going to do?
That's what we're going to do next. We can go for an ice bath now. Right, well, thanks so much, Gill. Let's do a cheers.
Have a great day, everybody. Put a bit of joy in your life.